Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bradley McCalister, Spidercraft Live on Monday. It's not Monday, it's Thursday. I'm still used to Monday methods. No, this is Spidercraft Live on a Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I'm happy to be here. Going to have a little bit of fun like we did last week, but a completely different gig. Today we are playing with making lidded boxes in the rough out stage. I was thinking about this last night, trying to come up with something since I had been so busy with the Black Friday sales and all that stuff. I didn't get super prepared, but I came up with something quick, and this is something I've done a lot back in the past, and so I'm really having a lot of fun with these. Roughing out, and I've got some of my fantastic wood that I have been aging for several years out here in plastic, doing everything that you're not supposed to do with it. Hey, Brian, good afternoon. It's great to see you in here. What else? Today, as I've been threatening to do, I have YouTube up as my monitor instead of Facebook. I've almost always had Facebook on just kind of a monitor to see what's really going on the live side. And today I decided to go and watch the YouTube version and see if it would come up. It actually came up much faster for me than Facebook did. So I hope everything sound-wise is good. Brian, let me know if everything sounds good like it's supposed to, and if the image looks right. It looks good on my end, so I think it's all good. It's a beautiful day out here in South Georgia. It was 35 degrees this morning, somewhere in there. Can't complain about that at all. It's nice out here in the studio. Got the heat running, got the fan on for a little bit of a breeze. Looks good, sounds good. All right, thank you, Brian. Well, we'll wait till a few folks drop in here. And like I say, looking over here on the stream, it is a bit of an echo, huh? Let me double check. I'm pretty sure I have all the extra mics off. And I got all my sound dampening in here, so I'm not quite sure what that would be. But while we're waiting, let me walk in here into the control room real quick and make sure that I have all the extra input microphone audios. There's one. I'll bet you that might have fixed it right there. Let me know if that made a difference. There was a second audio for one of the cameras came on that wasn't supposed to be on, so I'm kind of curious to see if that took care of that echo issue or not. There is so many little complexities to setting all this up. And, yep, echo's gone, so that's what it was. Over in the software, I had it turned off. I have all the extra audio inputs turned off except for this one. And for some reason, when the video at the beginning, the intro video stops playing, it looks like it kicks on an audio from that input. Don't know why yet. I'll have to investigate that. We'll figure it out. Hey, Rich, there you are. So anyway, no harm, no foul there. It was early, and that's all good. Rich, I hope you're doing well down there in Florida, where it's nice and warm and all that good stuff. Like I say, it's a nice day here. It was in the 30s this morning, but it's in the 60s this afternoon. So going to have a lot of fun. I'm really liking the studio these days now that it's pretty much running. I'm getting closer to the old days of Monday Methods when it had been set up for a while, even though it was in a state of unfinished. I could walk in and in about 15 minutes I could have the live stream up and running. And so with everything changed, I get out here an hour or so, maybe two sometimes early. And I'm still working through some of those changes because I got new things with the new cameras and all. Hey, Michael's in here. Good morning, Michael. Michael, I am actually on, you weren't here when I was saying, I'm actually watching the YouTube feed today for my monitor, and you should still be a monitor on the channel. If what we set up is still working. So if the trolls show up, see if you can, if you have the access to throw them away, and hopefully they won't show up in the first place. But yeah, so I'm loving things today. Got through Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I was doing Black Friday. I was working Thanksgiving, sitting at the table, and then Monday, Tuesday, and into yesterday, I was getting things shipped out. So, um, kind of was. I don't want to say overwhelmed, but it was much busier. The website was Spirecraft.com was than it has been in past Black Fridays, which is a good thing. But it also means a whole lot more things to ship and keep up with and correspondence and etc. But I am not complaining. I just didn't get to work on live stream process much. Jeff Peters is here. Good morning, Jeff. And Arthur Miller's here. And as some of you may have seen or may not have seen, Spirecraft did launch a new product this morning. Technically, I've been up working since about 2 a.m. Trying to find those extra hours in a day. But we launched the new product, and it's on the website now, and it went up on social media. Our brass rings. Brass ring inserts, and I have them all stacked up here right now. I kind of like this image. These are made by, and let me pop you into the overhead. These are made by stainless steel bottle stoppers up in PA. And there is an 1.5 inches. And I'm going to set these off. A 2-inch. I love stacking. You can't see them stack. A 2.5 inch. And a 3-inch. And these are for vessels, lidded vessels, holoforms. They'll work with wood. They'll work with resin. Anything that you want to use them for. Yes, Dan and Stainless crew make great stuff. These have actually been in the works for a while, and I got these in actually before Thanksgiving. They came while I was gone. They're wonderful. They're threaded. We went through a number of design changes. One of the best things about these is that they are knurled, just like they're little inserts for bottle stoppers. So I was asking them yesterday, and because of the knurling, we get about twice the surface area to adhere to glue to. So that's the great thing. Now, I had thought about possibly trying to stream today about these, but with all the other things that were going on, there was just no way. So next week, I will be working with these in the live stream. We'll be inserting them into holoform and the lid and the body and so on and so forth. So I'll get that all set up next week, but I just wanted to give them a quick shout out that they are out there, and they're actually, if you look at the social media stuff, they are on sale. I think the code, I made an introductory offer of 10% off. I think the code is ring10. So if you go to Spirecraft and go to the rings, which are right on the front page right now, and click on that and follow it there, and go to checkout and get you some. Ring 10 will get you 10% off. They do come individually and in packs of, or I made kits of 2, small, medium, and large. You can check it out. If you want to get more than just one at a time, that'd be a good thing. All right, let's see what's going on over here in the chat column. Hey, my wife says, and she's bopping in here. Hey, Bridget, good to see you. All right, so what are we doing? Lidded boxes, and I was going to go steal a couple from Bridget, speaking of, but I ran out of time. When I used to do art and craft shows, weekend art shows, festivals, craft festivals, all that, I sold a ton of lidded boxes, little teeny lidded boxes, and I don't even have one out here because I was running around so crazy like. And what I would do to embellish my sales is for a fancy term, I would pre-make or rough turn a whole bunch of lidded boxes. And then whenever I had the opportunity to take a mini lathe to a craft fair, craft show, festival, whatever you want to call it, if they'd give me 110 electricity, the moderator or salesman didn't take. Okay, well, we'll look into that and see if we can't fix that for you, Mike. I would take these rough turned boxes with my little mini lathe and set up at the front of my booth. And when it was slow, I'd start turning, and I would stop traffic, and people would watch them be made. I'd have them already finished, and I would also be making them. And so the whole key here is to get and this wood is green. You can do it with dry wood as well, but we take a lot of the initial work out, just like rough turning a bowl. So we rough turn these and we make the two halves and we take the inside out a little bit, but we don't finish the final shape or anything like that, and we leave that all for the later end. And I would make up a bunch of them and bag them up and let them dry, over the winter, and then when the spring shows come, boom, you're ready to go. So the wood that I have sitting here, and it's on here, is the poplar that I've had out for the last year. It's wrapped in plastic. This is one of my experiments some of you guys know about. This is still soaking wet. Some of it's growing mushrooms in there. There's 3 pieces here that are slightly dry. I like to do these just kind of quick and easy, and they're super simple. One of the keys that I found, and this is kind of the thing about how to sell these things, I found that having a large variety of sizes was really important. So this is great for scrap wood work, the odd pieces when you're cutting your blanks if you get a big corner, or better yet, when you've got the whole log and you're cutting out the pith, and if you'll cut, say, a 3-inch or a 4-inch right down the center to cut out your pith, and then you make your bowl blanks on either side. Well, that section above and below the pith is perfect for these kind of projects if you've got a big log. All right? So it's not like you have to go out and make wood up just for these. A lot of times, especially if you're processing logs, you get this wood as a byproduct. And Bridget can attest, she has a little teeny one that I made her. It's maybe 1.5 inches tall, and maybe 2 inches tall at the most with the finial top, and 1.5 inches in diameter. And she keeps her rings in that. And then she's got a bigger one that I made that has jewelry in it. So a wide variety of sizes. It's also really good when you can to do these in end grain, because the grain will be running top to bottom, so it will look normal and the grain will pass through to the lid. All right. So one of the keys about making lidded boxes is having that grain line up. And it's important that we do that to make them look as cool as we can. Now, if they look really junky, the grain looks horrible, and then we're going to paint them, we're going to do something to them, we're going to put Rustina on them, we're going to dye them. Who knows what we might do if the grain doesn't look great. And I don't have a bandsaw in here. I have a couple of them next door. I might bring one in here one day. When you cut these in two, a bandsaw is the smallest kerf and the best way to lose the least amount of grain match when you cut these in half. I'm going to use a 16th inch Carter & Son parting tool today to part these off so I don't lose very much grain. So that's kind of the basis of what we're working on today, and I'm going to check over here on the screen again and see. Cool Turners make boxes. Yeah, I know, Jeff, I know you have a Badan you use for boxes. And there's a million ways to make these, thinking about Jeff and his Badan there that he got for boxes. I'm going to use a number of different tools. Whatever you've got, more than likely will work. I'm going to use carbide tools. I'm going to use bowl gouge. I'm going to use the woodcut tools, Proform hollowing tools. I want to show you a little bit of everything today. That's why I've got a number of these. And I'll do as much as I can until 2:30, 3 o'clock at the latest, because I got to run over to Chromacraft and they close around 4 or 5. So I can't stay out here too long. But I want to show you as many different methods as possible. They all work. They're all right. None of them are wrong. Right? We're just moving wood and cleaning it out. So let me check there. Anything else? Facebook user says, we're here. That's great. Great to have you, Facebook users. It looks a little quiet in my chat column on Facebook, but that's okay. We're happy to have whoever comes in and pops in from wherever. So let's go here. What are the key things? And I'm going to go to the overhead. So much for my smiling face for here for a little while. I'm going to pop you into the overhead. And this is just sitting here. One of the things that makes this easy to do is setting yourself up for fast, quick, and easy. So in my chuck, I've got you can just barely see that. I got my Supernova 2 here, and I've got the 50 millimeter /2 inch jaws, and I've got a step drive in here. And I'm going to pop this up for a second. If you're not familiar with the step drive, I'll pop you back into the overhead. It just goes right into your jaws. This little groove right here goes into, boom, the ring here in your jaws, the hole in your jaws. All right, that pops right in there. This is a spring-loaded step drive right there, which makes it easy. Both of these drives on either end are spring-loaded. And the cool thing here is, here's my chuck jaws. Okay, so this is the jaw that I'm going to use to hold my piece. Let's make it a little louder. Oh, that's your dear mother. Okay, well, just turn up the volume there, Mom and Dad. So here's the cool thing. This is the same chuck that we're going to use for mounting these pieces. And so here you have the gap, and that's, say, 3/16 or so. And what I've already done is I set my calipers for that outside dimension, all right? Now, typically you might say, well, Brad, why didn't you set it for the inside dimension? Well, the wood is going to shrink. Now, we're doing these end grain, so it's not going to shrink a lot, but it always behooves you to give yourself a little extra as opposed to not enough when it dries. Okay? So I've got these actually set to the outside of the jaw, so I know that I won't make my tenons too small. All right? And what we're going to do, I'll pop you back up here to my mug anyway. After all, we're going to put a tenon on either end. We're going to get this guy in here, monitor up, get it round, and we're going to make a tenon on either end. First thing we're going to do. And we're going to make our tenon using our calipers. Identical tenon on either end, and we'll do that to a number of the pieces to get them all prepped. One of the things about doing pseudo production work, if you can do the same step over and over until you get bored to tears, it makes it a lot faster. Okay, so do the same thing for each, go through each stage, and it will take less time for changing things around. And this is still a really quick setup. So we'll make a tenon on either end, we'll make it round, we'll make a tenon on either end, and we're going to set it off, and we'll do a couple of those that way. Then we'll go about parting it off and hollowing out the different, using the different tools, doing the hollowing on the inside. So I don't get real worried about making these things all perfect. I just get them pretty close. I could take, and find the center and get all crazy. Go back to overhead. I just happen to grab something with a straight edge on it. If you want to, and I'm not real big on center finders and all that. That's me personally. Everybody has their own thing. If you want to find the basic center, again, I just found something. I don't even know where a straight edge is in here. You can find the approximate center there if you're so inclined. And it doesn't hurt. It only takes a second. And I think I'm going to pop you to the end. And I'm just going to, you can't see that, I know, but I'm going to put that right up on the point. Bring up my tailstock. And the beauty of these spring-loaded drives, and that's why I'm not using just a regular spur drive, because I can push this around and adjust this to where I want it and take it away, take my hands away. My hands are free now, and I can spin it and decide, well, I got a little more tension on there, and decide if that's close enough for what I want. And if it is, I'll go ahead and crank it down. And I think I will. Now this is the dry one. The next one I do, I'm going to cut open the plastic there. And so let's give this guy a little power. All right, and we'll pop you to the overhead. All right. So, we're going to turn this guy up. Let's see where she's happy. Maybe 800 RPMs. We'll go 750. We'll split the difference. So somewhere right in there. All right? And that should do the trick pretty well. And I'm going to crank that up again. Make sure everything is snugged up. One thing I haven't done is gotten my mask out and cleaned it off from doing the resin, the last resin work, if you remember. Let's see here. Oh, so Dad, you came in on your own. Mom came in on Facebook. We got a whole family affair going on here. All right. So I'm just going to grab a roughing gouge. And I'm going to take this thing down. Now, this has got some splits in it right here that I didn't see before. And that's why my green wood that's over here. If these splits are very deep, we're not going to mess with this. So we'll see just what's going to go on here. I find it a novelty having a roughing gouge. When I was doing these all the time for the craft shows, all I had was a bowl gouge. Put my flapper down there so it doesn't get in the way. And I like to go here in the studio, I go left to right solely so I don't fill up my toolbox that's over to my left. And because this is old, or getting old and cracked and all that, as I've said before, I stand over here. I don't stand right here in the middle and get down here and watch what I'm doing close. I stay over here out of the way because I don't want to get hit. And I'm not in a hurry here. I'm just taking my time. I'm not trying to win any races or impress anybody with super duper speed. It's getting close to round. And like I said, this is popular. It's been out there aging. And so it's got wonderful, this is one of the things I like about making, is this going to have this wonderful color. And it looks like the cracks are all gone. We've still got just a little teeny bit of a flat right there. And again, you don't have to worry much because this thing's going to get completely reshaped, when it's all said and done. Okay? All right. So there is our basic shape. Pop you there. You can see the piece. Nice colors in it, just nice natural coloration from this guy being out in the weather. All right. I can't wait to open up the plastic over here with the ones that are soaking wet. All right. Now, so this guy won't be very big, but that's okay. People want all different sizes. And that's the one thing I found about doing the craft show world is, pop it back up here for a second. I'm going to leave this on. Like I said earlier, if you weren't here, when you're doing the craft shows, people want a lot of variety. So don't be afraid to make some really teeny small ones, make some short, larger diameter ones, make some tall ones. Don't worry about whatever you've got will work. Limb wood will work fine for this. It's in the end grain. It's not a problem. So anything you've got, these are a great little thing. You get 20, 30, 40 bucks for one. You pull people in. You pay for your booth. It's all good. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our tendons on here. Right here. And we're going to make our two identical tendons. This end's all whacked out. This end is not too bad. And I finally pulled these out. I have not, and I'm going to pull this off for just a second. And pop you back up here. These are the Spydercraft carbide tools, that I have not yet, I just hold them all crazy like, these I have not yet put on the website. I have not introduced these yet. Still playing with them and just haven't been in a big hurry, but I wanted to go ahead and use these today. So I will be using, these are, again, the Spirocraft carbide tools. These are the large size. And I have a detail tool, a round tool, and 2 squares. One that's got a rougher or a square and one that's got a radius on it. These will be eventually here on the website and available for sale before Christmas. I've been other things and taking my time on this project, but I wanted to go ahead and use them today. So we're going to use these, and I'm just going to take the square one, and this is the large. And I'll pop you back in the overhead, and like any tool, any carbide tool, we're going to line this up with the center axis for the cutter. Drop that down just a little teeny bit more. That looks pretty good. Put my face mask back on. Now, because I grabbed that big ones, I didn't grab a small set. I'll actually also use an easy wood tool to probably make the actual tenon length, because these are a little too big for the tenon depth, or length, if you will. So let's just come in here and clean this up. First, we're going to get it flat. And you can pop you in the end there, you can see the end going on. All right, that flattens it out. And I'm going to use half a cutter . And I've got my calipers in my hand. Been a while since I've done them. I used to see that's just perfect. Just drops right in there. Now, it's been a while since I've made these and done this these little tenons. So we'll go to the overhead. And we're going to do the same thing on the other end. First, we're just going to flatten it up. Right up to, but not touching our step drive. Okay. Half a cutter. It's deceptive because this end, the drive is bigger. There we go. So we now have both of our tenons made in good shape. And you can see that we have a little bit of extra here. We can cut that away with our detailing style tool, little diamond tool. Just a little bit. We can get rid of that later as well. So we can kind of clean that up. We can put a dovetail on this end. All right. Because we're going to put it in the chuck when we go to part it off. And pop you in the end here, as you can see. And making sure this is flat. I put a little dovetail on there. Make sure that's flat, everything's all good. This end we don't have to worry about. All right, so it'll be nice short. We'll divide it in thirds. Okay, so let's pop this guy out of here. That's all we're going to do. That's that first step, right? Pop you back up here. First, quick and easy step. There's no big deal to it. All right, we'll just set this one off. I'm dying to get into my plastic ones here. My wrappers, the ones that have been all wrapped up. I'm gonna pop you back into the overhead. I brought in a pair of scissors. So this, this is not something that I say I recommend. It's just, I had some wood and I didn't get around to it. You know how I get kind of busy. So I just wrapped it all in heavy duty wrap. And it's been over a year now. And it's just some stuff that, I didn't get to that much. So it's been having nice colors. And I'm not saying this is the way to spalt wood. Not at all. That's not what I'm trying to profess here, that this is how you should spalt wood. But what happened is after I got it wrapped in plastic, I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it as an experiment and see what happens. So it's got fungus growing on it. Now it's really dark. This is poplar, by the way. You might not recognize it as poplar. Most of the color is probably just on the outside, but we'll find out. This stuff is soaking wet. All right, it literally sits out in the rain in plastic. So let's get the rest of these out of here. We got all kinds of goodie growing on here. Right, so that means there's something going on inside. All right, the wood it still feels and sounds solid. Okay. Now I will have to take a paper towel and dry this off a little bit, because I don't feel like getting soaked, even though I'm going to get a little bit wet. I'm going to take one of these and dry it off real good. I'll pop back up here so y'all can see my smiling face. Again, I'm not making any accolades that this is the way to give color to wood or spalt it or anything else. It's basically a matter of me not having time sometimes. And I need a chisel here real quick. I'm going to scrape that off of there. So it's more of an experiment. You never know what you're going to find out, what you might get. So whatever this growth is, it's fairly tough, but it's still rubber-like. One would hope that it brings nice color in there, but you never know. It could be ugly. I'm going to hold this with this paper towel because it's still wet and slippery, mostly because it's slippery and I don't want to put this chisel through my hand. All right? Because safety first is my motto. Hey, I even took my watch off, It will be interesting to see what we get in here when we open this up and we start to turn this. It's good to see my smiling face. Well, Art, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I like to have a smiling face. I like to be happy and smiling and all that good stuff. So I can't, I know that the grain runs this way. Other than that, I have no clue what's going on in this guy. So we're about to find out. Okay? And I just kind of eyeball this in the center ballpark. Bring up my tailstock. And just if it looks like it's halfway decent in the center for what I'm doing, then it's all good. I'm happy. Okay? So we crank her up tight. Pop you in the overhead. Hey, it must still be cool out because I hear the heater kicking on. All right. So it's all dark, black, and I'm going to say I'm certain that that darkness is going to disappear, but we will find out. This is when you definitely want to wear a mask. You should wear your face shield anyway. Breathe in the spores. If I wasn't talking through a microphone, I would put on a mask, because I don't know what this stuff is, and I don't want to breathe that in if I don't have to. And that's why I also, over to the right, I have a fan that's blowing all the contaminants away from me. You know, the room is kind of small, but you get the idea. So, again, we're going to double check that this guy's all good and snug. Everything's happy. Doesn't touch our tool rest. Take our speed up. Back up around 750. That's all we really need. Alright, let's take the corners off of this guy. You can see the darkness, the blackness is already going away to a degree. I'm going to move that tool rest in a little bit. Raise it up. You know, hopefully it's not too soft and punky. We'll find out. That's why the outer bands of it are going to be. But when we get down to the core of the tree, just ask Bridget about that joke. When we get down to the core of the tree, hopefully it won't be punky. Now, if it is, well, we have a candidate for stabilizing. And this would be great stabilizing wood as well. Great stabilizing project. Keep the color, you know, if it turns out to be too soft, we rough turn it like we are. Let it dry. Stabilize it. Because we've got great grain structure, you know, over colors, and we've got some spalting going on there. I'm going to take that speed up just a little bit. Get any of the soft, punky wood away. Okay. That should be rid of all the flat spots. You can see classic poplar green grain there. This is a little soft right here. Grab our carbide tool. We are set to the center. You can see how when you get set up, this really just kind of starts to rock along. I mean, it doesn't take very long at all. Pop you into the end. I mean, you can probably knock a couple dozen of these out in a day. You know, if you're not talking and if you're working, just roughing them out. Half a cutter again. Get my calipers in my hand. Right on the money. Now this stuff, like I said, it is actually getting a little soft. I mean, a year in plastic wrap is a long time. So I can't say that it's not to be expected. Pop you in the overhead. You know, I've basically broken all the rules of how to store wood just to see what I get out of it. Hopefully I didn't go too far there. Nope. There we go. Right on the money. Take our detail tool. We can clean this up a little bit. Again, we're going to get to that end when we turn it around. This one, put our dovetail on. Make sure that's nice and flat right there. We'll be able to cut that off with a chisel. And that is ready for the next stage. Just that quick. Okay? So you can see how the process works, and we'll do one more, I think. Let me look at the time. Find something that shows me the time here. 1:44. Okay. Pretty piece of wood. It is a little soft. This will be a good candidate. In here, it's this is solid. This is a little soft and punky. This would take the stabilizing color great. And if you remember, I have a ton, like 2.5 gallons of violet, I believe it is, stabilizing resin. So this could be stabilized in violet. It'll be great. All right, but we'll still do what we're going to do with it, just the same. All right, so let's set that off. Let's get another one up here, soaking wet. Let's get our paper towel. Move a thing or two out of the way. And people wonder why my lathe looks like it does. Kind of because I like working with wet green wood. Dry this off. Jeff Peters says, to stabilize it, would you take off all the end grain to get the stabilizer in? Well, it's got end grain on either end, Jeff. That's where the tenons are, is on the end grain. And we're going to cut it open, all right, and we're going to hollow it out. Roughly hollow it out, not the finished hollow out. And let it dry in a paper bag. Then, when it's dry, we would pop it into stabilizer. So this would color and stabilize because the wall's only going to be maybe 1/2 inch thick. All right? It's not going to move much because we're in end grain. So I think it would stabilize quickly, easily, and with good color penetration. Now, you know, I could have gone out there to the end building has a shed on it that's got this beautiful maple and it's all perfect and all that. But I wanted to show you a project that you can do with your less than premium wood and still get something out of it. Production-wise, project-wise, all that good stuff. Again, I just kind of eyeball that. Now this one, actually, I think it's hard to tell from the chainsaw curves, but I think this is still an end grain piece. There we go. And you can see here, we'll pop you into the end. And that's just mounted up. Give it a little test spin. That looks pretty good. If you've ever watched Richard Raffin, he will do stuff where he never ever turns the lathe off. Pretty amazing. My dad and I had an opportunity years ago to spend a day with Richard Raffin in Chattanooga. Tennessee full day at a Woodcraft for $40 each. It was very enlightening. I'm kind of slinging some of the water out of this as I go here too, bringing it up to speed. Back up to our 750. Well, there's 825, but that's all right. We'll take it. All right. Bada bing, bada boom. Wherever that saying came from. Pop this off because we know it's going to fly. Face mask back on. Is there any other questions that I missed? Nope, everything looks good there. All right, good deal. I think we'll just do 3, and then we'll go to the next stage. A lot of water in this one. A lot of water in there. Definitely going to stand out of the way. I'll put you on the end for this one. See the water running in the tool? And that's been a year. It's just full of water. Of course, it picks up extra rainwater every time it rains. The rainwater leaks into the cellophane. So you know why I'm standing off to the side. I don't feel like getting soaking wet. Nice coloration in here in this piece, running through there. Still got a little bit of flat. All right, cool beans. Oh, so another thing that I didn't mention, pop up here for a second, quick break. So you could use, 2 things I want to mention. You could, if you wanted to have a higher end, small little box, you could use these brass rings. Without a doubt, you could work those into a lidded box to have a true metal fitted threaded lid. Or you could use a thread chaser, and it just so happens that Carter's and Toolworks has come out with another thread chaser. They've had a 16 TPI for a long time, and they just came out with a 12 TPI thread chaser. And I think I brought in a half a dozen of them or so, and probably 3 or 4 of the 16s, and I brought in like a half a dozen of the 12s. So it's the Mike Mahoney signature thread chaser from Carter & Son Toolworks. I'm going to learn how to use them. I've never used one, and that would be another way you could use these lidded boxes. You could thread chase your lidded boxes. The phrase is credited to Brooklyn-based All-American comedian Pat Cooper, who is known for his Italian-inspired Brooklynisms, phrases like, yeah. Michael, are you looking up definitions on Webster on another screen? That's awesome. Leave it to Michael. Appreciate it, man. Finding the fun stuff to fill in the blanks, because I sure don't know where to look right now. But you can thread chase lidded boxes as well, and that will be something I'll be showing out here. They're coming in Monday, the thread chasers. And I've had them around, just the 16 TPI. I just keep a couple and I've sell them, but I've never taken the time to come out and learn how to use them. So that's something I'm going to do. Keep one for myself, and we'll do some thread chasing here before too terribly long. So keep that in mind. Google knows everything. Yes, Google does know everything. Google knows too much. All right, so beautiful piece of wood. We'll go back into the overhead here. Clean some of that mess up. This one is actually this one is not, it's ironic. This piece and this piece, however you want to do it, came from the same chunk of wood. This one looks like maybe all heart. This one is sapwood. This one is solid, and this is solid, but the sapwood here is soft on that one. So it just depends on where things come out of the log. All right, face mask back on. Safety first. Tool rest a little bit high there. There we go. Make sure we're still snug. Pop you back in the end. Just to clean that up. Okay. Half a cutter. Turn my calipers. Trying not to reach in front of the camera. Right on the money. Go to the overhead. Ah! Get back here. My screen thing is running away from me, my controller. Smooth this up. Try not to hit anything metal. I do have all the cutters for these new Firecraft carbide tools as well. Replacement cutters for both the big and the small. Just another product on my list to get in there. I've had them for a long time, as you guys know. Actually had them out at AAW in June. Didn't really put them out. Just been messing with them. Okay. Half a cutter. I got to put my dovetail on the other end. Don't let me forget. Before I take this off of here. Still just a little snug. Of course, it can always be returned. There we go, right on the money. Detail tool. Dovetail. And camera. Get rid of some of this excess right in here. Gingerly go in towards the tip. Less to cut off with the chisel. Okay. Keep the chips out of the way there so you can see real well. See, I'm actually inside the teeth of the step drive. Okay. Without touching. So that's all good. All right. I won't say bada bing, bada boom again, as I said it to do it on purpose. Because I didn't want Michael's work to go for naught. Okay? So, we got that little teeny tenon right here, or that little teeny nub right there. And that may or may not, depending on how small you get it, interfere with your chuck. And what I'm going to do here, and let's see if you can see, you can just barely see that because of the way things are set up. We'll pop the step drive out. And if the hole in the center of your chuck is large enough, in the center, there's a hole in the center of your jaws, if it's large enough relative, and it doesn't touch, it goes in the hole, and I made that a little extra big, it looks like. So I don't have to even worry about taking that off right now. I can turn that around and take that off later. It's no big deal. Okay, so there we are. So now we're mounted up. Now we do have a pretty good size space there, but that's all right. That turns nice and true. Okay. Now this one is really soft and green, wet. So we're going to crank it down. What we're going to do is we're going to come down here. Oop, 8, 7. And we're going to come down here and clean this end up, finish off this tenon. That is that's too big. All right, so we want to take care of that. All right. Now at this point, I could change over to just a standard drive. If I wanted a little more room, take out the step drive, the rotating step drive. And so for what I'm going to do is, this is one of the new Rotour 60-degree cones. Live center. So this will let me get right in here and leave just a little teeny bit. So I pop that in there. I'm real happy with these Rotours. I brought these over from the UK. So now when I come in here to cut this away, with the 60-degree and it's small, nothing's going to get in the way, and I can clean that all up real nice. Okay, looks like better on the end camera there for you. Tool rest a little high there. Don't know how that got up there, but it did. There we go. So we'll get rid of this stuff. Cut our dovetail. Okay, we can also, my arm's in the way I know, we just take that away, take our little button off. Okay. And now that tenon is all ready to roll. It's all good to go. So after we part this, this is ready to be put in. One will be the lid, one will be the body. All right. You have a talent to turn the piece around and still be on axis. Well, that's as long as you stay in the same axis. First, I'll say thank you, Art. I appreciate that. As long as you keep everything working in harmony, I'll get all cosmic on you. Because I turned the tenon when it was in the piece, that theoretically it should stay right on the same axis. Now, we know that that doesn't always happen. but theoretically it should. Now you can cut these in half, but a third, and leave yourself enough. And I like to use this tenon area up here as part of the pull tab when the piece is finally made. You can put a finial up here. You can do a lot of things, but just take, and I would just normally eyeball it with the tool, but just come in here, at about a third or so. And that's where you could go over to your bandsaw. Let me pop up here to the top. You could go to your bandsaw and take out this ultra thin kerf of wood and lose very, very little grain. Or you could do like we're going to do here and part it off with a parting tool. I give up a little bit of grain, but not a lot. And we are in the overhead. Not always my a little more harmony. I hear you, Art. So this is the Carter & Son 16th inch parting tool. This is my favorite parting tool. Okay, now it does. There is one other that's longer. This starts to grow. Let me turn this off for a second. Its first step is right here, which is what makes it so strong. And so when you start to get there, we know we're going to run out of room. All right, and this stuff is actually swelling up. You can see a little heat. So you hate to make a relief cut, and that's why a bandsaw is so good if you can do it. Otherwise, just make yourself as small a relief cut as you can get away with. Because the less grain you lose, the better off you're going to be. And I have to make a little more room. Now it's going to probably fly a little bit because I'm turning it about 800. And you can hear the pitch change. That one's really stringy. There we go. Try and keep from sending it across the room. Okay? So now we have our lid, our basic lid, and our body, right? Now we've got two others. What's the time say? The time says 2:06. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the rough hollowing on this. We're going to skip those other two for today, at least at the moment. I'll see how the time goes. So I'm going to pop that tailstock out of the way. Now you want to leave still ample wood, ample wall thickness. We just want to take the bulk of it out of here. You could use a back saw. Sure, you could. You can do a lot of things. There's a lot of different ways you can get there if you want to. Whatever method you choose is going to be okay with me. Let's see. Doesn't really matter what we use. We can use just about anything. Let's say we grab a bowl gouge. And we'll run through the different tools. All right. Carter & Son, 1/2 inch. If you want practice with your bowl gouge, That's the way to do it. You can hollow all the way down in here and see how much extra wall thickness I've left here. We just want to get the guts out of here. If this is all you've got, you can go all the way to the bottom with it. Okay. So I'm just gonna go through different tools here. Let me grab a carbide tool in the round. All right, here's the standard round carbide cutter. All right, I'm going to work my way through. Here's one that I haven't used a lot. It's really cool. This is the little Wonder tool from Woodcut. Now this is the high-speed steel one. It's not the carbide one. They have a carbide one as well. I know that Jeff Peters here, he's got one of these guys. And it works really well. Takes a little time getting used to it, but you can really move some material. It's just a little cup style cutter. And I'm just starting right in the center and pulling out. Coming right up the wall. All right. Another tool we could use. I'm going to go through 3 woodcut tools here real quick. This is the Flexi hollower. This is the hollower that's got the S-style hook and the brass gauge, and it's adjustable. Now I don't have the other tool rest out, the iron gate tool rest, but this has the brass gauge, and we can come right in here. This works better if you've got a hole drilled in it. If you drill a hole right down the center, this guy likes to work up against the side. You could take your Forstner bit also. That's one thing I didn't mention. You couldn't take a Forstner bit and drill this whole hole out. Okay? But the one thing about that, and here's a little story about a man named Jed. Out in Colorado, I was making birdhouses. As a matter of fact, I can show you one. I'm going to walk in front of this camera and duck down. I was making birdhouses, and it just happens to be one right here. And I would drill these out with a 3-inch Forstner bit, okay? And you can see I'd come right down through there, 3-inch Forstner bit. It was on the chuck, it was on the lathe like so. Forstner bit was in the end, all right? Well, that is a lot of resistance. And I ended up messing up the quill and the little pin on the quill on the Delta lathe that I was doing that with. So I kind of just got out of the habit of drilling much of a hole other than, like, say, a 3/8 twist bit or something like that, which I've got one floating around somewhere on a piece of wood. But you can drill these out completely with a Forstner bit and stop all this. And you could do them on a drill press if you really wanted to get that kind of crazy. But we're wood turners, we're not drillers here. So I stay with turning, okay? Now, let me see if I can find my iron gate here. I'm going to put you in the overhead because I'm going to shuffle around in a tool drawer here. I'm looking for another tool rest. Oh, and there's one of my twist bits. It's on a handle. You never know what you find in my toolboxes. So here's the woodcut Tools iron gate tool gate, and I'm going to use it with the Proform hollower. So I'm going to pop. Now you have a Beverly Hillbillies song in your head. Well, I'm sorry, honey. Sorry, not sorry. Your favorite commercial. All right. So because I have things hidden here, I'm going to pop this out. Now, if Mr. Roper was here, he doesn't put the pin back in on the clip back in on this. But this iron tool gate is what holds, and I'm going to pop you into the end. The Proform hollow tool. The Proform hollower, it's got the big 20-inch handle, 5/8 inch shaft. Tool drops right into here. Into the Y saddle, if you will, or notch. Clean this stuff off. Okay, so the shaft goes into the smaller one, and the tool shaft will go into the larger one, should you be so inclined. Okay, now like if I want to have this be no flex whatsoever and be closer, I can move this shaft in if I wanted to, or I can just stay out here and come in. And again, if I drill a hole in this, it's going to be happier. So I just found a short twist bit, and I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to have to make myself a little bit of a divot in there. So let's see if we can make a little bit of a divot with this guy. You see how you can switch around from one tool to another? They really, I don't want to say they all do the same thing, but if you work at it, you can find a way to do what you need with just about anything that you've got as far as tools go. So I'm going to slow that down. What I did is I drilled just a little bit of, or carved just a little bit out of the way there. And I'm going to let this twist bit find center. All right, and just to give myself a little bit of start. And I want to make sure that I don't go too deep either. I got to leave some bottom in this. But I just want to show you how that works. Pop this back over here. All right. Lots of different ways to get where we're going. Now I'm going to try and keep myself out of the way. And with this tool, I've got the speed a little bit lower. And it works wonderfully. I'm trying to keep my shoulder out of the picture here. This is one of the coolest hollowing tools around. And I need to have, it's such a small piece, I need to actually run the tool up in the handle a little bit more. And see, I've used up the hole that I drilled. Like I said, it really likes to have a hole down the center, and when you have a hole in the center, it will move the wood out of there just like nobody's business. The other tool that I haven't used yet that would also work, like I said, I'm trying to cover all the tool bases here today. I don't want to leave anybody out or any tool out. Rich says, I haven't used anything I got at AAW. Why not, Rich? What are you doing? Too busy working and going to school? Trying to get another master's degree? You're smart enough already, dude. So where is my number one hollower? There's a number one hollower with a negative rake on it. Easywood Tools, number one hollower. One of the favorite tools. Now this has got a negative rake cutter on it right now, so it'll be a little slow, but great tool. Show you the whole tool there. Number 1 hollower, it's got a nice thick shaft here, tapers down, small CI5 cutter on the end. Rich says, yeah, work, school, and I haven't had a lathe in the house in like a year. So is there a nebula going into your house when they roll in here soon? Mr. Rich? A little more speed here. Again, this negative rate cutter will be a little slow. I had this left over on here from doing the resin. Okay, so there's about 1 inch left in there still. We could go a little bit further to whatever tool of our choice we feel like playing with to go a little bit deeper. Let's use the little Wonder tool again just for fun, just because I don't have a lot of time in with it. It really does move a lot of wood in a hurry. Okay, I mean it bounced a little bit there because I was so far down in there, but I just took another 1/2 inch of wood out in like 3 passes with that guy. And if you wanted to clean it up, you could go back to your standard round carbide. You want it even and smooth just so it dries well. Okay, and I'm getting about 3 inches over the tool rest there. So kind of pushing that, how far over the tool rest can we get? Okay, so we've got it nicely hollowed out. There's maybe 1 inch in the bottom, which leaves room for us to make changes here. You always want to leave yourself plenty of material down in here because you may change this bottom. So if I was to use the fancy measuring method, that one, you can see that there's where my bottom is right there. Okay, that leaves me plenty of room to profile this and not worry about running out of material because this wall comes all the way out there. So you want to be sure and leave yourself plenty to work with. Okay, let's change things around here real quick. So I'll pop you back up here and I'll take a quick look. It says, nah, going to bring in Orion back, but putting a Nebula HMI on it. Okay, gotcha. All right, so the main body is done, right? And if I hadn't been talking, we'd have been done a long time ago. So there's our little body. We pop the lid in, and just the same process again, just on a smaller piece. The HMI is the controller section. Well, being that you're an engineer, Rich, you probably can put a controller board in there in about 10 minutes. So there's our lid sitting on there, and I'll pop it into the end. All right, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to open this up a little bit. Doesn't matter what tool you use. We're just roughing these out. So again, we'll just like we did before, wherever I put it, we'll grab a bowl gouge if that's what you've got. Leave about the same size wall thickness. I'm just looking over at the other piece. If you don't have the other tools and you have strictly bowl gouges and you want to practice going deep and not catching like that, these are great little projects to do it on. because you're not messing up anything important or going around the horn like that. That's what I get for looking up at the monitor while I'm turning. All right, that's the flexi hollower. We don't want to go far here. Round carbide. And again, it's important that you leave plenty of material in, get that down, in this section between my fingers here, especially up on the top corner, back over there. Up on this top corner, because that's where you're going to cut a profile. So you want to make sure you leave yourself plenty of wood there, because you don't want to cut through to the inside when you're actually doing your final hollowing. Okay? And we can grab this little guy, the little wonder tool. So whatever you've got, you can do the trick with. And that's the beauty of it. You can take a little 1/4 inch bowl gouge. You know, this one's got a long rake to it. Doesn't have a bottom feeder cut to it. Again, we're just roughing this out. That one doesn't have anything in it. I'm just looking for different tools to show you here real quick to come around in here with. If all you've got's a 5/8, nobody says you have to use a small tool, okay? You can use whatever you've got. You don't have to have a whole big arsenal to make these guys. All right, cool beans. So that's one down. And what I would do now, or I will do, and I don't have my bag with me. Oh, there's a bag. Well, there may be one in here in the cabinet. I would take and just tape these together, usually end to end like this, so that the open is open on both ends. I'd take some 2-inch tape, go around them, tape them together, and just put them in a paper bag, or I'd get a big paper bag and put a bunch of them in there, because they're not that thick. They're going to dry pretty quick. All right? And that's all there is to it. Now, here's what you do. Here's how this works. So these are dry in the spring. It comes spring art and craft show season. You take a whole box of these with you to the craft show, just like this. Chuck them up on your mini lathe, and you go through the finished process. They're all dry. They, being end grain, won't have gone very oval, maybe a little bit, because they're so small. And people can see the process. It doesn't take you long. And this part of the process that I've just done, well, that's not really that exciting for the public and the audience to watch. But the finishing shape, and if you'll just do a quick sand on them, and if you have your tools nice and sharp, where you don't have to sand a lot, do a quick sand, and then use a Yorkshire grit abrasive paste, so that you don't have to sand any more than necessary, and then a wax finish. Boom, you're out the door. People can watch you, make it, and you fit the lid the whole bit, and they can buy the one that you just made, and they're ready to go. So bust up a bunch of these in the fall like this, and now it's December, so I guess it's headed for winter. And then when April comes, depending on where you live, March, April, May, and those craft shows, and you're allowed to take your little mini lathe, you've got a whole stack of these guys ready to go, and you just kind of pseudo mass produce them to get them to that stage, and you let them dry, and they're ready to roll. I used to do a ton of them. I'd have boxes and boxes of them, and all different sizes, like when I said in the beginning, big, small, teeny, and I'll tell you, we're not going to do a finish and fit today. But the key, and we'll do this again, maybe I'll probably do it in the spring. We'll follow this up this spring on finishing these. That fit and finish, if you are in a club, and you guys that are in clubs, you know what I'm talking about. When you take your piece to the club, you want to have that vacuum fit, right? You want to impress everybody on how well and precise you could be, and you have that little vacuum suction fit of your lid. That's great for impressing your friends at the club, but my wife Bridget, who happens to be watching today, can attest to the fact that if it is that tight, there's a good chance that it's going to, when it warps maybe just a little bit when the humidity changes, it's going to be hard to take on and off, and it's going to spend its life sitting just a little bit ajar. All right? So what you want to do is make them still fit well. So you want them tight enough that when you pick it up, it doesn't just like fall off, but you don't want it to be so tight or so snug that it takes effort to put it on and off. Now that's the follow-up class or session in the spring out here. We'll make these up. We'll make some up as a lidded finished box. So that's good, 2:30, so that's not too bad. That way I won't be late getting over to Chromacraft this afternoon. A nice little project, and again, a person could use these nice rings, like this one here. Let's say you wanted to make a really nice one that somebody wanted a really nice fit. This 3-inch ring would be perfect. All right, if you wanted to have a really high end, see that, you just make it work. And like I say, next week I'll show you how to do these and how to make them work. You would have a sweet box that would never have an issue, and it would have a brass. It would be a lifetime piece that you could go back and forth with. So pretty cool beans there. All right. And you got it. My voice is cracking again today. Anybody got any last minute questions? Bridget, yes, I remember this. Yes, it is a beautiful piece. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up here pretty quick. I've had fun being out here today, especially short notice. Didn't really have a plan before my eyes opened early this morning. Actually, I decided last night when I laid down. There just wasn't many hours between laying down and getting up and going to work today. But hey, that's how I roll. I appreciate everybody coming out today. It's been fun watching YouTube. It is I know the Facebook people and the Facebook itself will get mad. YouTube is a much better feed. I haven't seen it buffer once that I've been watching today. Michael, I will make sure that I get you set up as a moderator that sticks. I'll read into that, look that up, see how that works. And again, I'm watching the YouTube feed, which is I think I'm going to do in the future until I get another computer in here that can run multiple browsers, where I can have Facebook and YouTube where I can watch them both. And also, this is, of course, on the store in the Spirecraft.com under live stream. If you're not into the chats and all that stuff, because we don't have the chats there yet. Jim Brinkman says, are you putting a tenon on the lid? I put a recess in the lid, Jim, and my tenon goes on the body. That's the way I tend to do them. You can do it either way. There is no right or wrong. I learned to make these from Jimmy Clues, and that's just how he was doing them. And so once you learn a certain way, sometimes it's hard to change. So that's the only reason that you can do them either way. Either way you want to do them. Whichever suits your fancy, and if you're particular to one way over the other, hey, that's great. So you can do either way. Let's see what else is popping up in here. Absolutely, you're welcome, Michael. And Jim, it's good to see you in here today. Rich, don't work too hard down there at the office at Nova. Okay, keep that customer service going well. All that good stuff. All right. Well, I think. I got Jim's question there, Bridget. Thank you. Unless he's got a new one. No, I've got it. Already got that covered. Okay, well, I think we're going to wrap it up. And so I'm going to hit number 8. I believe 8's the one I want, which will see me out of here. And as soon as I get caught up on a few other things, gonna make a new intro and outro, exit, if you will, with some different music that'll make somebody I know happy. And so in true Southern style, y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe, and I will see you next Thursday. Keep an eye out for posts on social media as usual. See ya.